We are live. We're live! Hello, everyone. I am just so humbled and grateful to see you here. Thank you for being a part of the Strategy System community. I think there's a random I don't even know the way the video goes. I think there's a random message that always pops up when I start a live stream and I forget to get rid of it. So don't worry about any of that today because we are going to be talking all about ad creative for Facebook and Instagram. This one is going to be fun because just like everything that I was talking about during the launch about the different contexts and the economics of ads, it's also nuanced. It's also nuanced. So I'm going to share from the perspective of what to do if you have the following scenarios. And then feel free to pop in any comments or questions that you have as you're going through the curator process in the comments here live. And then lastly, I'll just talk through some things that I'm seeing on the client side of the equation that can help give you all more context and insight into ad creative in general, right? Like whether you are going to be starting up ads in this like holiday season Q4, which friends, don't let that scare you. Don't let that scare you because if you can make your ad make your ad economics work in this climate, literally you will be smooth sailing for the rest of the year. So like do not let Q4 distract you. I currently have ads running for a $29 cookbook which has hard physical costs, right? We got to print the books, we got to ship them in. So they have freight, they have port, like I think that's part of freight actually. They have the hard goods of shipping. They then have like pick and pack from our warehouse. We have to store the pallets, and that's all included in it. And then we have to advertise the product and get it into the hands of the users. And it's only a $29 product. So you think that that's like a really tiny little margin to play with, which it is, right? Like $29. We want to try and keep our ad spend to about 25% of that cost, which means we need to get sales for like $12. But we can do that. We're currently doing that right now in Q4. So I just really, anyone who's like thinking, I don't want to start my ads right now, now is the time, right? Like, don't let that stop you. Okay. So, ad creative in general. For those of you who have went through module 2 already, woohoo! First off, I want to know how you liked the email experience. Please share what you thought of the link click triggers and submitting the different elements so that you could keep going. Or if you're not clicking along, those emails showing up in your inbox 24 hours later, or just like keeping you in a holding pause until you get to that part where you submit. I had so much fun designing it. I had so much fun taking the content from module 2 and really breaking it down in a more digestible way. So please, I would love to hear how that experience went for you because I want to know. I'm so curious. I'm so curious. Okay. So you probably came into this program in one of, I'm going to say 3 situations with your ad creative, especially if you're already going through or have gone through module 2, where I ask you to go over to Facebook and Instagram and download all of your insights, right? All of your performance data, pop it into the curator tool, and then categorize, connect, commit, close, those 3 phases of audience growth, lead gen, and sales retargeting so that you can narrow down the ads that you might start your strategy sequences with. And for anyone who's not into module 3, the next thing that you'll be asked to do is actually to start with your lead generation ads and put those out there to warm and cold audiences because we want to test the throughput of your sales process just as is. Like, I want to know who's getting to the end, who's purchasing, who's not, so that we can work on plugging all of those little tiny holes and really support the economics of being profitable with ads. Okay, so that's coming up next. But you may have went through module 2 in one of 3 scenarios. One, you have an offer that you specifically decided on in module 1, or it was the offer that you wanted to come into this program and scale, and you have the content ready for that because you've been posting about it organically to this point. So if that's you, module 2 was literally built for you. It was designed for that person in mind. So like go through it, pick your connect, commit, close posts, move on to the next thing. So that's person number 1. Person number 2 might be like Sarah Massey, who has multiple entry points, multiple offers. I printed out her post here from the Facebook group because I'm such an analog girly at heart. And she says a ton of her content points to her slow funnel products, which are $27 to $37. And those are intended to generate leads for her main program. But she also has nearly 700 Instagram posts to categorize and hasn't even gotten to her Facebook posts. Although these are all just cross-posted Instagram posts. First of all, if they're just cross-posted from Instagram, don't worry about pulling the Facebook ones. Like, let's go with the data from Instagram because that sounds like your main platform over there. But let's just say anyone in this situation, you've got a ton of content, possibly a ton of different offers, and how do you go through this process? Let me share with you the way that I look at this. So in general, this tool is built to give us insight, not just into what makes a potentially great ad, but how our organic content is performing overall, right? Like, which percentage of our posts are we posting connect content? Which percentage are we asking for the lead? Which percentage are we actually making an offer to people? And it's funny, I was actually just giving feedback to a good friend of mine. She voxed me the other day and she's like, Bond, I cannot grow on Instagram. Like, what is wrong with my Instagram? I don't get it. No new followers, no nothing. The only time that we get any traction is if we're running ads and like ramping up a launch. And I just said to her, I was like, hun, it's because literally all you do is ask people to opt in, right? Like all you do is ask people to opt in and buy shit. full disclosure, that's all you do. You just ask people to opt in and buy shit, and really you're not adding a lot of value to the overall community that you're trying to serve on that platform. So of course growth feels hard because they're coming in thinking, oh, this person has information around this subject matter that I'm interested in. So maybe I'll follow them and I'll learn some very valuable things. But those very valuable things that they want to learn are always gated behind giving an email address or always gated behind pulling out their credit card. And so this curator process, before we even get to the ad side of the equation, is allowing us to really take a step back and analyze what our holistic, organic game looks like. Like, are we succeeding with that? Because if we are succeeding with that, amazing, right? Like that's probably how you guys have got such success, got to this point where you are. But if you're still struggling organically and you're like, I can't figure out why this isn't working. Well, maybe you're missing one of the 3 pieces that really, like, we need to have not only a business, right? Like we're not just out here posting content to be part of the creator economy for a hobby. Like we want to create transactions and create transformations in people's life as a result, right? So it's like we need to make sure that our content that we're putting out there in general organically is bringing people into our world, is nurturing those connections, is building that audience, and then we're asking those people in our audience to take the next step. Because there's underlying fundamental skills that we need to learn when it comes to content creation, copywriting, landing page design, headline writing. I guess that falls under copywriting, graphic design, branding. Like there's all these underlying skills that we need to learn so that when we put our ad, our lead generation ad in front of a stranger who's never heard from us before, they have the highest likelihood of seeing that ad, maybe clicking see more, clicking over to the landing page, giving us their name and email, or purchasing one of our lower ticket products, right? And if we haven't cracked that code organically, it can be harder to do with paid traffic. Now, big disclaimer here, because I've had people yell at me before because they're like, well, Bond, you can test the data with paid traffic. And I'm like, yeah, no shit, you can test the data with paid traffic. In the thing that I'm about to do next, which I'm not disclosing any specifics, but I'm hoping to get the page live so that I can actually show you guys the economics of it on the back end. Like, I plan to test with Facebook ads. I plan to put content out there and immediately put ad spend behind it to get in front of the right people instead of organically building an audience. But I have the cash flow and I have the skill set to know how to pivot quickly with my ads. So I'm not just like wasting an ass load of money along the way. So this is like my side quest disclaimer here, because other Facebook groups are like, anyone who teaches you to figure it out organically first is just stupid. I don't know if they're saying stupid, but I've just heard that perspective. So like really this tool, module 2, the reason I built it was to give you insight, right? Yes, to pick the ads that you're then going to take into the money test. Yes, to find all of your close ads for the sales retargeting so that you can put dollar a day ads in the campaigns that follow people around the internet. So as soon as they opt into your world, they're all you see absolutely everywhere. Like, yes, that is the outcome that I want, but please don't miss the gold in going through this process. So Sarah, this is a long and roundabout way to answer. Do I need to go through all 700 posts? I mean, no. You don't need to. It's your life. I'm just a character in it. But if that would serve you or serve somebody on your team to actually go through and identify which content pieces, which content styles are working the best, what are tanking completely and you think might actually be doing like a decent amount of good for your business, if that at all is something that you feel would give you insight, it is so worth it, whether you have 7 posts or 700 posts. And yes, I say it in the email, so anyone who's going through the new module 2 experience, this is the part where you want to throat punch me, because it's like the most arduous thing. I swear to God, it's the hardest thing I'll ask you to do in the entire program, everyone, okay? Pinky promise. It gets easier after this. You get to have fun. Yay, ads. But module 2 is like the thing that gives you the insight to go into the rest of it. And so the third person coming into it, so to clarify, the first person was the person that had one offer, their organics working, cool, they pop it in, they get the insight of what to turn into ads, like what's already working well organically. The second person is that person who might have multiple different offers, a lot of different posts, but they're like, this post over here is a closed post for this self-liquidating offer. This post over here is a connect post, but it has to do with that over there. Actually, let me pause before I even go to the third person and just share, as I'm going through that tool, I would in my brain, I would categorize, I think I would even categorize a self-liquidating offer as a commit post in that case. Like if you also have lead generation entry points, how am I going to try and verbalize this best? Essentially, I want to look through that 700 posts and it's like, I want to find all of the connect, commit, and close for this specific offer. Like whatever this self-liquidating offer is, I want to find the 3 phases. I mean, I guess there's technically only 2. It would just be like connect and then close. So I want to find all of the content that relates to that one offer when I go through it. I just want to like extract all of that. So maybe pull it out into its own sheet. And it's like you have a sheet that's like connect, commit, close for that specific entry point. And then if you have another self-liquidating offer or another lead generation entry point, like maybe then you're isolating that. Or if you have separate higher ticket offers, like essentially it's harder when you're not just looking at it through the lens of one specific program sold through one specific entry point And so you do have to make a few concessions in terms of how you're analyzing all of that data. So maybe as you go through, you said I have nearly 700 Instagram posts to categorize, and a ton of your content points to those $27 to $37 products. So in my head, I would isolate each of those products and pull out all of the links for those, and then it would be like connect content for this self-liquidating offer, and technically close content for that self-liquidating offer, and then another one for the next self-liquidating offer, another one if you're like a lead gen that goes to a webinar that then sells the program off the back of that. So essentially you're just like trying to isolate whatever funnel, whatever entry point, whatever way that you're generating leads and sales first that you're focusing on in this program. I would go through it with the lens of that and just be like, okay, let me just pull out the content that makes sense for that specific offer and fuck everything else, right? Like don't worry about those other things. Okay, hope I clarified on that. Oh, you had one more. So, well, first off, Stacy said she had 500 and it wasn't that bad. Most of them were quickly eliminated. The ones on Facebook that were cross posts, I just eliminated. Yes, love that. Absolutely. Just eliminate those ones. And then Sarah, your question, should I sort through the 700 posts and hide all the ones with low reach, likes, comments so that I only need to categorize just the top performing posts? I feel like it's going to take me days to open each perma link, read it, and categorize it. So again, that's just up to you depending on what you want to get out of it. If you want to get those insights, sometimes as I'm going through it, I also like to repurpose or batch content, reschedule it out, reuse it. I have this ridiculous joke that I would post on my Facebook page literally every year. And it was like, oh, 2014 called, they want their 15-cent leads back. But I would change the number like every single year and just repost it. So going through that process, even though it was boring and arduous, it allowed me to like extract the content that I wanted to resurface. And that was a valuable exercise for me. So figure out what your workload looks like. If you're like, Bond, I'm not going through 700 posts. Cool. I love that for you. And then the last person, and then Stacy, hi, I see you there. I'll get to your question in just a second. The last person is that person coming through who might not have their offer fully dialed, might not have been engaging on Facebook or Instagram in general. And they're like, Bond, I don't have content to put into this curator tool. And to that, like, I say, woohoo! Like, we get to celebrate realizing that, right? Because yes, it would be awesome to have the content to pop into that tool to get the insight, but we've also identified another opportunity for you to focus on in the next little while, right? And so I just look at that like a gift of, hey, maybe the reason I wasn't having ad success is because I really haven't figured out the social side of the equation with any type of scale or engagement or just resonance with people. And knowing that is awesome too, right? Like I didn't get to be as good as I am reading the data, looking at a single post and identifying how it's going to perform as an ad without just going through this process literally hundreds, if not thousands of times right now. I'm going to say thousands because the one client that I'm working with right now, which I'll share a little bit at the end, she's got 400 content pieces. I just went through the curator process to start extracting those pieces of content. And like every single time I do it, I'm like, oh, this is giving me more insight. It's giving me more ideas for how to use it over here. So even though it's long and arduous and a challenging process, super insightful, right? So all I want to say for those of you who don't have the content, who haven't been on social, first off, I love you for that. Like I want to get off social. I need to really start decoupling myself from the interwebs because I'm pretty sure I just like start scrolling and then all of a sudden 15, 20 minutes of my time passed and I just went to check one thing for a client one time. So love that you guys aren't there on social. But use this as an opportunity to then ask yourself, what type of content do I prefer creating most, right? Like, I'm a text-based girly. Ask me to create an image, and I was like, what are you gonna add? What? Like, I don't know what to put in it. Sure, I can do it, but it takes me so much longer. So if you're just like, Bond, write a post, don't do a video, don't do a text, done. Or like go on live and say something, but don't polish the video. That's easier for me because as soon as I think about polishing a video, I literally want to script it line for line. Like, that's how neurotic I am when it comes to producing content in that way. So the question is, which way do you prefer producing content? Which comes out of you more naturally? Do you like answering questions? Hey, if you like answering questions, I bet you a bunch of people have asked you questions in your inbox about your offer, product, service, whatever it is. And you could just literally take those email responses and turn them into pieces of content and enter it into one of the three phases, right? Go post it out there on organically, and then take that content, turn it into ads, because you might not have an organic audience built up already. And again, that's okay too. We can test ads without it, but the caveat is it just like we have to be hyper aware of the data. We have to be hyper aware of each dollar that we spend, because if we haven't built up those copywriting skills, those conversion skills, those landing page skills that it takes to really put something compelling out there for the person that you're trying to attract, that's a skill deficit that we just have to try and make up in this process. And when we're spending money on top of it, it's just something that we have to pay attention to. Okay? So those are the three people, no matter where you fall. If you're one offer with social ready to go, if you got a bajillion offers and you're all over the place, or if you have no social media or no offers at all, everyone is welcome here. All that matters is we're taking steps forward each day to figure it out. Let's get the insight from all of this, and then we'll plug it in, see how our ads perform, and then let those ad motions surface, because that's what happens next. I'm not gonna lie. There's a part, I think, in the video, maybe it didn't make it into the video, but we once had a strategist who spent $40 on a single click in Ads Manager. And oh no, it did make it into the video. It's at the very start of module 1. I'm like, remember friends, I'm not in your Ads Manager, because sometimes we just, like, it just gets to be nerve-wracking. The ad motions are there in full force, but let's not be illogical. Let's just remember that, hey, the economics of this all have to make sense. So if you're selling a $40 product and one click costs $40, we're not going to be able to do that profitably. So we need to stop spending that money, take a look, come ask questions, come ask for feedback. But I'm so glad everyone's here. I love you all. Okay. Stacy, welcome. Your question is, I'm getting close to starting the money test, still setting up the audiences. Sorry if this is covered. If we need to change the caption, I assume we can't pull the post through in Ads Manager. If you need to change the caption of a post, do that before you upload it, like as the use existing post in Ads Manager. You can actually just go back to the organic post. I did this yesterday where I went back to February 2023 where the original post was posted. I reworked it. I added in like the new, they were using one of those like comment keywords. So I updated the call to action at the bottom. I tightened up a little bit of the copy styling because there was a few spelling mistakes and errors. And then once it was on the feed looking like it was supposed to back in February 2023, which you can filter, if you go to a Facebook page, you can filter literally by month, year, even day. I don't think you can do that on Instagram, but on Instagram, you just log on, again, update the caption first, and then once it's updated, pull it into ads. That's the best way to go about doing that. But I do that all the time. I'm always like going back in history, restyling things, taking the lessons, looking at the click-through rate, seeing how they perform. And then if they aren't performing, then I'm like, okay, cool. Let me make a bunch of tweaks before we even try and get them as ads. So hopefully that helps clarify. Oh shoot, I just got the check your internet connection. My live stream is experiencing connection problems. Hopefully this came through. If not, we'll be doing more live streams so we can always re-ask and revisit any of these topics. Natalie! Thank you to Natalie for going through Module 2. She was one of our testers, and I loved hearing about your experience going through it. So I'm just so grateful for that. Your question, I have my offer ready to go. I've done my R&D and build out of offer with this system in mind, knowing that I would create my content plan around the specific pieces needed to gather the data as I go, to identify the pieces to plug into my ad sequences. To me, it makes sense to utilize ad spend to not only get my offer out there, but to build a specific audience. I would be curious if you'll touch more on that. You mentioned a little something along those lines earlier in this Q&A. Yes. Okay. So we hashtag twinsies, because that is exactly what I'm going to be doing with my new offer in a new niche. Again, not disclosing much. You're like, Bon, what the fuck are you doing after this? Don't worry about it, but it's great. I'll tell you as we go. But that's what I'm going to be doing. I am going to be leading with ads first. So essentially what I'll do in this new niche is I need to create the content first. So I won't have tested it. I won't have an audience. I won't have a proven offer. It's just a bunch of hypothetical bullshit. I say bullshit, but it's not. It's, we're creating funnels. But it's me making a thesis and saying, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to test it. And then using Facebook to put this content in front of the right person that is able to make the decision. And I'm going to start with the money test. So I'm going to start, I think I'll actually start, because it'll be a $97, I think, offer that I'm going to sell first. So I believe that instead of doing the money test with the lead generation side of the equation, I'll go straight to setting up a purchase conversion campaign, still with the same structure where it's like, there's no warm audience in that one, but I'll choose probably a few lookalikes. Hell, I won't even have data for lookalikes. So I'll have to base it off of interest targeting only. So I'll set up my money test. I'll run some interest targeting to purchase conversion. I'll then pay attention to different things like my link click-through rate of the creative. I want to understand, of the people that I'm trying to target, who is responding to which post. So instead of me plugging in my organic data into that tool, I'm like, okay, we're going to get it in real time, how that CTR is performing. Some ads might flop, some ads might be better than others. And so I'll just take what's working and pay attention to that and create a little bit more of what's working and a little bit more of what's working, right? So that's what I'll do. I'll go through the money test. I'll actually automate that whole dashboard. So I like to use Zapier or Make. And every single time somebody purchases, they'll actually come onto that dashboard automatically, and then it'll update the purchases. I'll have to manually update my ad spend and the number of clicks, but I'll see then the purchase conversion rate from my ads. I'll actually go into Ads Manager as well. This is, remind me in the group tomorrow to show everyone how to set up very specific custom metrics in Ads Manager, because I've since added in the sales conversion rate, which is just a custom metric, like a custom formula that you can put in there. And I'm like paying attention to all of those things, right? Because I don't have an audience in this new niche. I don't have any creative. So all I'm going to do is use my money and use my guesses to see what's working, right? And then I'll spend $100 and I'll analyze what happened. Did I get purchases? Did I get clicks? How long did people stay on the page? What was my drop-off rate of the page from the link clicks to the landing page views? So I'll start to look at different data points and say, how is this ad working in isolation? how is this sales page working in isolation? And then from there, I'll make a new hypothesis of the next thing that I'm going to go back and fix to try and get more people, like better throughput. Does that make sense? So I will, like you, be that person who just starts with ads, going forward with ads, because it's faster. I don't have to take as much time building up an organic audience. I don't have to spend as much time cultivating that organic audience, right? Like community building. Not that I'm not going to in the future, but to get started, I want the fastest path from dollars out to dollars in, knowing full well that I could fail along the way, right? So it's like we have to know that the test could fail and we could put $1,000 in and it could not come back out. But here's what I don't want anyone to do if this is what you're planning to do. I don't want you to panic and then throw that entire sales process and that entire funnel out. We get the data so that we can look at what we need to optimize next, right? We send the people to the page, we see what happens, and then from that, we guess, essentially, make an educated guess at what we could try and fix to then have more people get to that page and take the action that we want to on the other side. So that's the way that I'm going to do it. I'll share more about it as we go. I will pull up the dashboard, and then for our like data loving nerds, I was thinking sometime next month we should probably have like a Zoom party where I actually show you how I automated that entire money test reporting spreadsheet. And so literally for my clients, every single time we generate a new lead from Facebook, their name, email, opt-in date, and then ultimately what they purchase off the back automatically gets updated to that spreadsheet. And so the spreadsheet itself, like the money test dashboard, stays almost automatically up to date. The only thing that I haven't figured out how to automate is adding the total ad spend and the number of link clicks from the ads, but you can just update those on like a daily or weekly basis to get a real-time view of the entire sales process and conversion. So for our data loving people, please raise your hand and then we'll do a follow-up Zoom where we can actually just like chat back and forth on that. Hopefully that covers it. So let's go. Okay, Stacy, perfect. Then Lauren. Hi, Lauren. So glad you're here. Somewhat technical cue. This may be covered somewhere. Sorry, every time my comments move. Hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, Fraser, I didn't even see you here. Okay, perfect. Hello. Okay, Lauren, there we go. Hopefully this doesn't move around. This may be covered somewhere that I missed, but in Supermetrics it's telling me that I can only pull for the past 2 years. I saw someone mention they were pulling quite a few years past, wondering if I'm missing something. Lauren, if you haven't went to the new Module 2 experience, I highly recommend that one instead of going through the videos in the actual program. I'm gonna make a note now that the emails are live. Into Thinkific. I'm going to make a note to put the actual emails somewhere. Natalie, I think that was your idea actually, to have the emails once you went through them housed somewhere. So they might not make it into Thinkific, but like I highly recommend putting your name into the form at the top. The experience is so much better. For those who have went through it, can you guys just like let me know what you thought of it, because I haven't heard from too many people about what the experience is. But we actually stopped using Supermetrics because it wasn't reliable sometimes and it had that limitation. So in the email version of Module 2 that you can opt in at the very top of the module, let me see if my short code to get into that module works anymore. That is the place to go. So yep, it's just loading up right now, and then I will link that here for everyone. Okay, enter your email to begin. This is the place to go for that. Okay, write a comment. Boom. Okay, another close. I don't really have any closed posts because I do the selling in workshop and the workshop that I send people to. Is there a best practice here or something you'd suggest? It may be a well-performing commit content piece that we can change the caption for close. If we don't have any close posts, here's my process for that. I said it earlier in the live stream, I'm such an analog girly because when we are on the internet all the time, when we're just like so digital in almost everything we do, like I print off the stupidest stuff. Like I printed off comments to prep for this. And so what I do is I use the plugin Go Full Page. Sorry, it's not a plugin, it's a Chrome extension. Go Full Page, Chrome extension, Go Full Page. And what it does is it takes a photo of our sales pages from top to bottom. You can print it off in a PDF format so that like it's just all in a row. And then I'm literally that person who will fold the top of the page of wherever the next section starts and tape it to the other one and put it on my wall. Okay, so this is my process. You're probably like, Bon, this is crazy. I'm not gonna do that. But once I see it on my wall, I literally stand there and I'm looking at each section. And I think to myself, what can I take from this specific section of the sales page and turn into a piece of close content? So let me just read the question again because close posts is I do the selling in the workshop. So for you, if you're not putting, okay, here's the nuance, and then I'll just share a little bit more of the creative side of the equation. If your checkout, like the place that people purchase, is only given to them if they attend that workshop because you're doing some pre-qualification or they need to know XYZ before they join you, and it's not like a public thing, because when we run ads, other people who aren't at that specific part of our funnel could see them. It happens from time to time where you're following something and you comment or like or click something, and then somebody who's connected to you but not to the business also sees that post. Back in the day, we actually used to use that to get more people to sign up for Ship by saying, woohoo, you signed up, celebrating them. But then at the bottom of it, we said, if you're seeing this and you don't know what we're talking about, it's likely because your friend signed up, so come sign up here. And we used to get dirt cheap leads doing that back in the day. But if you don't want the people to see the checkout without going through like a very specific call booking process, or like pre-qualification of some point, then I would treat registering for the workshop, like I would almost not do the close phase in the traditional sense, but I would put a bunch of recovery ads. So targeting those who landed on the registration page for the workshop but didn't sign up. I would kind of build a little world close style to get them back to register for that workshop if that's an important thing that they need to do. Or I would even set up a second campaign that's like anyone who registers for the workshop, just registering them, I would then maybe put the sales retargeting ads in front of just those people. But again, if it's public, if there's no pre-qualification process. So just little nuances. If you need to ask more questions about that, pop it in the group after and we'll like go over your specifics with context. But in terms of just creative, I print out the sales page, I look at what's on there, then testimonials I always use for clients. So who said good stuff about your products? I love using when people email in and ask a question about your offer. Oh, that makes great ad content. There's one that I'm running right now about like a ManyChat automation. And one of the questions is, won't ManyChat hurt the connection that I have with my audience? And so we just took that question and turned that into a sales retargeting ad. And then those are my like three primary ones. And then like literally any any commit ad, man, even sometimes connect ads can be turned into like more lead generation, or not lead generation, like sales retargeting ads on the other end of it, right? Just showing up, showing them maybe inside of the offer, showing them the outcomes of people who went through the offer, those testimonials, answering those objection overcoming questions, and then taking the content that you likely already have on your sales page. I bet you, everyone, if you have a solid sales page, you have at least 5 ads that you could just pull creative and images from your sales page and easily make them into ads. Okay, perfect. So opted in already, but went through the old one and just thought the display was different. So that's perfect. Yeah, there's 2 like Google Docs in email 2. Email 2 is the first one, and then email 3, 4. I think email 5. Those are the ones that you'll find the actual like standard operating procedures. Cassandra doing the same, starting a new everything. So building a new audience with data-driven ads. Whoop, whoop. I love us. We got a whole crew in here testing. I will now add in a story from a client about testing, because we are actually reviving the old Connect style sequence. So for context of anyone who has it, like this is their first round that they've come into, previously, I used to heavily teach the Connect sequence. So we had a trigger video, which we would do a video views objective. We would then say, Facebook, go find me those people most like my purchasers, right? We'd use lookalike or interest, just like our exact people. And then anyone who watched at least 3 seconds, sometimes we'd like segment it out to anyone who watched 15 seconds of that video, then show them a sequence of events afterwards. Now, I stopped doing that on the front end because the algorithm over the years just got so much better at finding your people with so much less data, right? Like you can basically just choose broad in some instances. I remember on Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas here in Canada, I had started a new lead generation ad in the like home cleaning niche, and I just put women in the United States, right? And this is before we knew Advantage Plus everything, right? This was when the algorithm was just starting to get good, and I did women in the United States, and I like went away to hang out with family because it was the day after Christmas, and I opened up Ads Manager again, and I had dozens already of new leads for 25 cents a piece, because the algorithm was just, like I said, starting to pick up and get so much better at targeting. And so because that's happened over the years, and because the CPMs have gotten higher and the response rates have lowered as more people come into this online world and just have more offers, like we're all inundated with offers nonstop in our feed, right? You show one interest one time and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you like that? Let me show you all the things, right? So it's more competitive than ever when it comes to ads these days. And so I stopped teaching the trigger video on the front end, because what was happening is the audience that it was pulling in wasn't the audience most likely to purchase. Half the time it wasn't even the audience most likely to become leads. So when we retargeted those video viewers with our lead generation ads or our like low ticket self-liquidating offer style ads, it just was way more expensive than telling Facebook, go find all the cold people most likely to take action, right? That's because when we're optimizing for a purchase, Facebook is using that information to find the people most likely to make a purchase. And of course, to find those people, it costs more than just saying, hey, go find those people who are most likely to watch this video. Now, is there some overlap in those audiences? Yes. But we started testing this trigger video theory, and I hadn't done it for a little bit. So this was the first time that I was trying it out again. We'll start on the cold side. Let's show them a 60-second video. Let's retarget anyone who watches 3 seconds of it. And I put 4 lead generation style ads after it, right? And so one was a long form, it added context. One was just like, hey, do you want XYZ? Comment this. Another one was just a different angle. And then another one was like a GIF, fun, meme type piece of content. And so this is 2 days ago. So 48 hours ago, I set it live. And my targeting was Advantage Plus. So I did an Advantage Plus targeting. I didn't specify a gender, even though this person primarily deals with women. No, I did specify a gender. That was the only thing that I specified. So a gender. And I said, find the people most like those leads that just opted in for the thing that they actually convert into customers with. And I gave the algorithm that information, and I woke up the next day and the video was being served up to a few hundred people, and we already had a few reactions on the sequence that came after. And I went and looked at each individual person on that sequence to see if our ideal clients were there. And it was literally just like men in America that had nothing to do. They're not business owners at all. It was not ideal targeting. So I was like, okay, we can't use Advantage Plus audience on this trigger video style. Let me dial it in a little bit more. So then I changed it up to female entrepreneurs who either are Facebook page admins or Instagram profile admins, right? Because in her niche, if they don't have a social media account, they're probably not her ideal target. So let's just add in that. So that was yesterday. We woke up. And of course, there's still some of those men that it showed to who weren't the target demographic, even though we told Advantage Plus just showed to women. And so we're still getting today some comments, not comments, just it's all reactions so far of non-ideal people. And so then I started dialing it in even more. So I said, okay, well, what if we're not doing the video views to a cold audience? Again, I used to teach this, but this is why I've dialed back on it, because yes, it's a penny per view, but I could put a video into my lead generation ads. I could tell Facebook, go find people most likely to opt into my sales process and go through and potentially become customers. And then the people who viewed that ad because Facebook deemed them most likely to be the person to opt in, then I could retarget the video viewers of those lead conversion campaigns with the rest of the sequence, where we get them to, we add some value content, we show the memes, we build the relationships. And so that's something that I'm testing right now. And that's why I said earlier, with those of us going straight for it, like we're using ads to figure these things out. What we don't want to do, in my opinion, based on, these experiences over the last little while, we don't want to start with broad unless like you are going mass market, absolutely everyone who has a house would apply for this. I don't even think that's a great example. Essentially, you would want to dial in your targeting as much as you possibly can with the little bit of information that you know about your audience as you're building it. And I likely wouldn't lead with anything like a video view or a engagement type of campaign, even though, again, I could get in front of, it costs 28 cents to get, 28 cents to get a 3-second view on our lead generation ads for the same brand, right? 28 cents for 3 seconds on a lead generation ad, a penny on a video views ad. So you could argue, you could say, hey, Bond, but I could get in front of 28 times more people from the same audience if I do a video views ad. And would there be some overlap? Maybe. For sure there could be. But is that the closest and fastest path to ROI? Likely not. And so me being the risk adverse Canadian that I am, I always want to make sure that we're just like optimizing for ROI first before we layer on any of these like fancy pants connect sequences. And the reason that I stopped teaching them is just because they're so sexy. They're fun to do. They're so fun to do. Like start with a video and then get people to engage with shit. They're so fun. So everyone started there instead of starting with getting people to buy their shit. That's what we need to do with ads. We need to be efficient with getting people to purchase so that we have money to invest back into the system. That was probably a rant that a roundabout way and rant to go. So hopefully everyone was following along. Okay, good things to think about here. Thank you. Genius on using the sales page. Oh my gosh, I missed so much. JT! We'll catch the replay. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad everyone's here. Honestly, friends, just announcing my retirement from the Facebook ad side of the equation. I've been doing this for the last decade. That I'm just like, I'm so humbled by the fact that you're all here, that I got to do this for a freaking living and share these insights, because I'm still spending thousands, if not like 5 figures a week on ads right now. And I just helped so many businesses, so many people, so many humans, and it just never ceases to amaze me that this is our lives. Like, we do this for a freaking living now. What? We say shit on the internet, we test out theories, we put content out there, and this has become our profession. Like, this is a complete tangent, but I remember when Lev in university walked into my dorm room and he said, Bond, there's this website. It's called Facebook. If you go to a party and somebody there that you really connected with, you didn't get their name, well, somebody can post a photo of you on the internet and then they'll tag both of you. So then you'll know who it was. And I remember turning to Lev and I was like, if my friend knew who it was, why wouldn't I just like ask my friend for that person's contact information? Like, I so did not get it. I didn't understand. I had to have a university email address to access Facebook. I actually think I can still log in with my university email address. It doesn't even work anymore. So just to have made a career out of this, just to literally be able to answer these questions and run all of these scenarios and test some shit out, use our time, use our money, whatever we're richest in resources right now, start there. But like, my biggest lesson over the last little while, and why I'm so excited to really go all in for myself and like tailor off on the client side of the equation, is just the deep work that it takes to create the content, to put the sales funnel out there, to figure out what's not working, to have the conversations with our humans, to, just do the shit that makes you twitchy, because it's such deep work. Any single time I sit down to write copy, I'll set a timer. And as soon as I set a timer, I want to get up and get a coffee. All of a sudden I have to pee. I have 15 other things to do for clients that I forgot about. I want a cookie. Like, I need to scratch my nose. I want to do anything but the work. But as always, the way that we get that result is we just show up to this process, we do the hard shit, we look at what the data is telling us, we fail, we course correct, we fail, we course correct, we fail, we course correct, and then all of a sudden, you're not failing. You know what I mean? You're getting the ROAS. You've done the things to optimize the sales process. You're putting it out there. You're connecting with your humans. And literally in this climate, I am telling you, I am in a mastermind with some pretty freaking big names. And ads, they're challenging right now. They really are. And they're a tool that we can use to amplify the connection that we're creating with our with people in our community. And organic still matters. Connection still matters. Like, people want to know that there's humans behind these brands helping them achieve the things that we're setting out to help these people achieve. So I'm so excited for the rest of our time together. Let me know how you guys like Tuesdays, because Tuesdays actually line up well for everyone in my world. I've got my nanny on Tuesdays. I'm here at like our one of our investment properties, as like you can see my standard cabinets that don't have the backsplash done on them. This is our like builder grade everything. So I can come over and get this spot. Let me know how Tuesdays go. I think we've covered most of the questions. Dropped another. Stacy, can you tag me on it if I can't see it? Because I don't think I can. Oh, hold on. When it comes to lead gen, have you tested forms versus landing page? I've always used form to get my leads, always less than $1.25 a lead. So curious if there's any value in one way or another, other than potential order bumps in the lead funnel. I mean, you covered it. Like, I always test everything. So one of the things that work for one client might tank for another client. Hence why I'm able to talk about this and teach with such context and nuance. I literally have one client right now crushes it with reels. That's the only way for some reason people opt into her shit. It is the only way that they show up is through these reels. And then I have another client who puts reels out there and her CPMs on these reels are just astronomical. Like, I cannot make these CPMs get under $100 no matter what I do. We've split tested at this point probably 60 different variations of reels with different hooks and different angles and different like copy. We're probably over 100 now that I think about it. Like, we split test out of everything, and for her reels, they just don't work. But if I take the same content and then turn it into a carousel or turn it into a stealth post, all of a sudden that exact same content works differently for her audience. So lead forms are great if your audience opts into them, if that's something that they respond to. So, definitely test it out. The thing that I love about lead forms is it actually bypasses that annoying like iOS 14 thing where people like on Apple devices who have opted out, when they land on our thank you page, the pixel's not firing. To be honest, I still say to this day, like, iOS 14 didn't affect me because like I just take those people who then give me their email address and send that information back to Facebook. So Facebook's getting it one way or another to retarget them with our close related ads. But the thing I love about lead forms is anyone who opens the form is retargetable, 100% of that audience, and anyone who opts in is retargetable, 100% of that audience. So if you're trying to create an audience of leads that are retargetable, lead forms could be great. I've even seen people who the button that they put on the end of the lead form goes to a sales page, so that could still convert a little bit. But if you want to like fully control the experience that they see after with some upsells or order bumps, I mean, it just doesn't have that functionality. So we always have to ask ourselves, what are we optimizing for at this part of the process? Hence why, we need to look at the data from every point. It's like the leads are $1.25, but they can't generate any additional immediate revenue. Cool. What if the leads are $2.50, but each lead on average generates $1.50 in immediate revenue? And then all of a sudden we're technically only paying $1 per lead when we do regular like landing pages with the regular thank you pages and upsells and shit. And so then we're also cultivating purchasers, not just leads. So is that worth it for the business if you're spending less to acquire those purchasers? Probably. What if you're actually spending $2.50 over here, but it's only generating, what did we say, $1.25? So it's only generating $1.25. So now you're keeping the same amount or spending the same amount per lead. Does it make sense to try and acquire more purchasers? Possibly. What if you're only making 50 cents per lead and now you're spending $2? Like that's kind of the scenario that each business has to run for themselves. And there's no right or wrong answer. There's just the hypothesis that you want to make and then test against. And like the reason that I know the nuances is just because I've tested so much stuff so fast. I just throw it out there. I like message my clients all the time. I'm like, here's my theory. Here's what I'm going to test. It's already live. I'll tell you what the results are. Here's what we'll do based on this information or that information. Okay, bye. Right? So just make a decision, test it, test the next thing, good to go. All right, I love this, but thinking of throwing in a long video and swapping out the 3 seconds to 75%. I love that. Yep, test everything. I'm still loving the idea of, so going back for anyone who just joined us, we were talking about the old school trigger video with the connect sequence. I still think there's legs with this theory because she's got podcast episodes, like episodic weekly podcasts. And then every single week the podcast came out, she has content that corresponds with it, literally going back forever. And so we've been able to analyze which content pieces generated the most podcast listens over the last few years. So I'm now going to take the top 10 of those podcasts and turn them into individual sequences where there's a clip to start, and then we send them to the full podcast, and then we ask them to comment a keyword. And then from there, we do lead gen back into the thing that actually gets them sales, because she has the budget to not just think about, I mean, we're still thinking about dollar in, dollar out. Like that equation has to exist, but she's thinking about, okay, dollar in over here, but I'm okay if it takes a little bit longer to do dollar out because I'm building brand affinity that will pay off in the future. Again, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do yet. I will share the information as it comes because right now we are not having fun with it. It is not converting. So don't take my advice on that one, but definitely test it. Amazing. Okay, Tuesdays are good for Natalie. Cassandra, thank you for being here. Do we still have Fraser, JT, Lauren? Stacey, I don't know if I got you, but it is 7 o'clock, so I am going to take off. As always, drop your cues after this live stream if we didn't cover anything, and I'll come back and hit them up. And then get excited for those of you going to start the money test. I heard a rumor that today, I think, is the last day for political ads. I don't know if I'm Canadian, so don't hold it against me if I don't actually know what I'm talking about. But I heard that it could be a nice little pocket between now and Thanksgiving to run and play with some ads. So for everyone, I love and appreciate you. Let me know how those go. Remember, I'm not in your ads manager, so let's make good data-driven decisions and keep me posted on any hypothesis or thesis that you put out there and that you're testing. Because yes, this system is something that I've taught for a long time and it's not rigid, right? Like I want it to fit around you and your life and what you're trying to achieve because like I said, this is wild that we get to do this for a career. So thank you to everyone who has given time today. Love and appreciate you all. Until our next live stream.